Welcome to the We Are T1D podcast,
the realest type 1 diabetes podcast online. Hosted by myself, Mike, diagnosed at the age of 10.
and myself, Jack, diagnosed at the age of 30.
We are just two mates giving you an insight into life with this chronic condition.
Yes, we are adults, and although we try not to swear, it may happen occasionally.
Yeah, as Jack said, we are adults, but please take what we say as guidance and not medical advice.
No, trust me, we are not doctors.
We are just here to make sure no type 1 diabetic ever feels alone. Right, and guys, this is just a disclaimer. There will be swearing on this podcast. So if you have sensitive ears, you have been warned.
Yes, and anything you hear in this podcast is the opinions of that person.
Yeah. Now that's covered, let's get into it.
Right, so let's go. Right, hello and welcome back to the We Are T1D podcast. I am Jack, that is Mike, and today we are joined by a very special guest. Now, over the years, he has had a career in the music industry. He has played professional football. He's done stage and theatre shows, written books, written and starred in their own movie, and also done a hell of a lot of stuff to spread awareness for type 1 diabetes. So, big round of applause and welcome to Jonsel.
Great.
Whoa! Yeah, Ric Flair, WWE, we're having it. Yes, I love it. No, I'm loving it because I can be myself now. I'm not restricted to the usual things that I've done for various people, where it's like you can't say this, you can't do that, you can't breathe. Just stand there. Like, well,
Don't breathe.
just stand there and basically just look like you're interested. Sorry, what? No, don't. This is a boys. I'm so enamored and happy that you've invited me on. It's brilliant. Thank you ever so much.
Nah, no problem at all.
We're happy to have you, mate.
So ask away, boys. What we going into? Which part of type 1 diabetes are we delving into?
I think we should start at the beginning. Where did it all start for you, sir?
Started for me. I'm not doing this voice. The whole thing. Jesus, Downton Abbey gone wrong. Oh, give a flying fuck. Right, basically, it all began for me. Well, my mother, type 1 diabetic, so I was actually lucky. Not many people are. Well, listen, I've never put type 1 down to being sort of like oh my God, it's the end of the world and feeling sorry for myself or playing that victim card, because it's just the way I've been brought up. And my mum, she was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes in her mid to late 20s. Mm-hmm. So me being a youngster, I see my mum, cracking up the needles with the insulin, doing the whole. Yeah, it was allowed. That was legal. That was legal injections with massive nails, like only wears Essex ladies' fingernails. They were huge, absolutely. So I'd grown up with it, so I was used to seeing it in terms of injections. My mum having a hypo, so mum's having a bit of a turn here. I best, give her sugar. And so I was young, I was like 6 or 7 years old. So going with the flow, understood it. And then I was at boarding school, and I remember it very well. Because I used to play Sunday league football, I got knocked really badly on the ribs, and I think I broke one of my ribs, or I bruised a floating rib.
Oh.
And I know, I didn't even know they existed, floating rib. What is that? I've just invented a word. I want to sound professional. Yeah, floating rib. What is that?
Did you get it from the butchers?
Yeah. It's very nice. But so apparently with diabetes, so I've heard, is that if you get through stress, a knock, or you say a leg break, or anything quite severe to your body, it can then bring out sort of like a hidden problem. Sorry, my cat's just gone for a poop in its tray and it's scratching in the back there. So I do apologise if you can hear any cat scratches whilst it's going.
That's fine. We're used to cats.
This is Miyagi, my legend here. Cheeky bitch. She's not enjoying the fact I'm getting attention here. We'll talk about her later. She saved my life as well. But so the knock on my ribs. So apparently with diabetes, you can get, you could have it in your system for many, many moons, and a shock to the system can bring it out. So I just started losing weight. I started looking incredibly thin, gaunt. I'm hyperactive. And then all of a sudden I was like a zombie, and I still played football. I just thought there's nothing wrong. And obviously the main thing that came out was my thirst was ridiculous. I was drinking bottles of Coke, bottles of water, bottles of squash, like in seconds. I was like a world record breaker, just downing fluid. It was ridiculous. Excuse me.
I was exactly the same before my diagnosis with the first. It was just fucking unreal.
No, but it's awful because you can't quench. You can't. I'm like that. Come fucking hell! I've had a bottle of fluid here. Can't quench the bastard. And there's a bird you're trying to chat up. I'm 9. I'm trying to look really tasty at the dinner table at boarding school. And it's going, what the hell? He's like, Jesus, God, well, he'd be good on a date, but I couldn't drink booze.
He's a bit thirsty, that one, isn't he?
And then peeing. Obviously, peeing at. I never used to pee at like 3 or 4 in the morning. So you'd wake up.
Yeah.
And I'd pee. It was just continuous. But yet again, when I was around, I sound like an absolute old fart here. Google didn't exist. The internet wasn't around. It was just a matter of it was those who are knowledgeable.
I've never actually thought about it that way, to be honest, because that was when I first got my symptoms. That was the first thing I'd done was go on the internet. Like, what the fuck is wrong with me?
And I'm actually in between you two. I was borderline internet.
So I'm the old one. You're just the in-between, and then we got the young bastard. You got diagnosed at the right time. You had all the help in the world. No.
Yeah, you wanker.
No, but that's the get. So it's just, it's just being knowledgeable. And to be honest with you, when I was first diagnosed, no one knew about, not I was aware of type 2. What was that? For me, type 2 was like, as I had diabetes for like 12 years, 13, 14 years, whatever, I'll be like, someone go, type 2. I go, well, what's that? Are we all making numbers up now for diabetes? And also, I call diabetes because that's what, I'm being serious. It wasn't, people now get too finicky over how you say it. Sorry, if I want to say diabetes, I'll say it. But no, it's wrong because you can't let it beat you. Why don't you personally jump off a cliff, you fucktard? No. I live with it, right? So if someone wants to call diabetes diabomhole, let them call it diabomhole. It doesn't matter. The person living with it, you can call it whatever you want. And I think that was, and then I was told off later on, you're calling it diabetes. It's like, well, I was because when I was diagnosed, this is the thing, the education wasn't out there. Like there's education now. So diabetes that's doctor would go, you got diabetes. There was no type 1, there was no type 2. But lucky for me, like I say, going back about my mother, she'd come up to see me when I had the weekend off. So obviously I wasn't at boarding school. My mum came to see me and she just walked in and went, Jesus, he looks not very healthy. I was like withering away. It was awful. So my mum tested my blood on one of the old fashioned sticks where you used to have to prick your finger. There was no little lancet device. You just have to prick your finger with a lancet. It would hurt, but this was the thing. Yeah, this was the thing. That's all there was. So it's all you knew. So you just think, okay, that's all there is. That's what we'll go with. Yeah. So lance it, and then you'd have to get the blood on a strip. And this was before even blood testing machines were available. This hadn't come out. So then you'd have to match like a paint chart your color that you basically tested with your blood on the back of a little pot. And mine was basically off the radar. It was like a color you'd never seen before. It was.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was basically it was like I say, reality TV people going into a sunbed shop coming out. You're like, Jesus Christ, what is that? Orange, yellow. Mine was withering away, and and my mum, bless her, because you don't want to shock your child, was like, Mum, is it all right? Oh, it's fine. Jesus Christ, it was that, So I went to bed, and then about an hour later, my mum and her partner said, we're going to drive you to the hospital. Because obviously my mum knew, the symptoms I had with drinking, being so thin, being lethargic.
Yes.
Just basically was diabetic, Went to the hospital. I remember it was at Warwick Hospital. It was 3 or 4 in the morning. I get rolled in. No tasty nurses. I was a bit pissed off. I had two doctors, one with the most ridiculous carry-on moustache. And it was just... There's me at the age of 10 thinking, geez, where are the nurses at? I want to see, Barbara Windsor doing the magic. But no, I had some old pesty guy just there doing his work, and they tested my blood straight away, and they said, yeah, mate, you're diabetic. I wasn't shocked. I was just like, oh, my mum, because to me, my mum having type 1, I was like, my mum's got it. She's living. She's all right. She's happy. I'll be fine.
Yeah, I suppose in your eyes, it was a normal thing. Like, it's just every part of your everyday life already, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, but it was. You see it, but having it. But I've always had this kind of like brave mentality where you think, well, I've got that. Why can't I beat it? Why can't I conquer it? I knew there was no cure.
Yeah.
I knew that at the age of 10 years old, but you just go, do you know what? It is what it is. We'll go with it. And obviously my dad was working away. He was working miles away. So he got the call. My dad was devastated. My mum was devastated because yet again, you're told diabetes. I'm going back to, how dare he say diabetes? I'm not going to be beaten by diabetes, but diabetes, even I'm struggling to get my words out. Diabetes. Yeah, well, it's true, man. You get told off in this day and age. You can't say anything. You can't say needle, lancet. Oh, God, Jesus.
That's why we love our platform. You say what the fuck you want on here.
Yeah, but you've got to be honest. Do you know what? Because so many people sit on a fence. I've never sat on a fence. And, when you live with what we live with, you've got every right to say what the hell you want. You live with it. It's your story. So if someone doesn't agree with it, it doesn't matter because I've lived it. It's my life. It's how I see it.
Exactly.
You can't be derogatory about any type 1's thoughts because it's their thoughts. It's their feelings.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. If you don't like to listen to it, it's quite easy. Don't listen to it because there's plenty of type 1's out there who I personally find are amazing. You guys are legendary because you say it how it is. There's many that sit on the fence who I can't stand and sit there being mollycoddled and paint this picture of perfection when they don't speak about the harsh realities that are involving, hypos, comas, blindness, amputations. I take the piss out of all things bad because that's how I deal with it.
Yeah.
I get told off. You shouldn't talk about it like that. Yes, but if I was to ever have something very bad happen to me, which I did, I had a leak behind the eye, I took the piss out of it.
Yeah.
I had the injections in my eye. I went in to have it done. I bought some Poundland Love Heart sunglasses. I was rocking them.
Well, that's the best way to deal with things, though. In my eyes, like I'm exactly the same as you. I will not let the things get better of me. I would rather get on top and just take the piss out of it. Just have a laugh.
Just get on it, mate. Innit? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Throw yourself on top.
You've got to send it up, but that's how we deal with it. But no one has the right to tell you off with how you deal with something. So you get the outsiders going, well, you shouldn't do that. What do you mean I shouldn't? I'll do what I want, and I do it in a respectful way because I know when I was growing up, the reason the way I am with how I talk about diabetes and helping those who are struggling and wanting people to understand and help them with their mental health is because if I was going through a hard time, I'd want to listen to someone that was funny, entertaining, made me laugh. Not these people that go, yes, and we've invented a pen that puts insulin in your body. Yes, you may live longer. Oh, shut up, you absolute buffoon. I need to be entertained. But you do. These people, oh, look at me. I've tested my blood and, oh, I've got a straight line. Sorry, that line will be going low, high and doing the roly-poly. And it will. This is the thing. People don't like the truth. So you get shut out. And it's like, I'm going off key here. We'll go back to what I was saying. But you've got the big companies like, I have to say, Dexcom and Freestyle, the Libras. They're great. They save people's lives. But I've had chats with people from Dexcom. I say con because they don't care about a type 1 diabetic's life. They care about making money. It's business. And that's all it is. And hence why, go on, sorry, mate.
Pretty much how the whole world goes round.
It's business. And there will be people that work for Dexcom. I'm saying that because I can't bear them. They screwed me over massively when I was doing my show, when they wanted me to go to America and then it got pulled. I gave them everything and I didn't have support from JDRF either. We'll go into them in huge way because I'm not a fan of them at all. I've been treated very badly by them.
Oh, are you not?
No, man, I was treated. The only charity who I'm an ambassador for, and who helped me, and they've done everything to help me and promote, and just lovely, Diabetes UK. And that JDRF, listen, people love them, but I've done chats for them, and unfortunately the people who are high up with JDRF, they mollycoddle celebrities, Z-listers, because that's who they feel. If you can get a bum on a seat, they tell you what to say. You know, you can't go out there and speak your own truth. So when I did a chat for them, I had to basically write what I was going to say. So, you know, I do things like you make notes, what you're going to say. I had to send them what I was going to say beforehand so they could eradicate something that wasn't right. And I remember I said diabetic pump. And this one person was like, oh my God, he said diabetic pump. It's insulin pump. Oh,
wow.
No.
Oh, really?
I was like, diabetic? It's a pump. Yes, and that's what it is. Insulin pump. And everyone's now getting carried away with the language matters.
Oh, no.
And I know people will hate me for saying it, but for me, it's someone makes a mistake. They don't listen, no diabetic, no type 1 is going to go out there with an aim to offend other type 1s. It's just that I'm old school with what I got brought up with, and I understand how times have changed. I'm all for it. But in terms of the language matters, no one gave a toss back when I was type 1. It was just you're diabetic. That's it. Type 2 wasn't talked about. It's just you can't say certain things. I think it's wrong. And you can't shut out those people like what I've done, what you guys do, because there'll always be an audience for those people that want to listen to stuff that is real. You know, no one wants to be listening to stuff which is, it's all lies. So, you know, I put stuff about my hypos, etc., etc. I don't know why you're putting that, because it's showing a side. It's showing the truth.
Yeah, the truth. And you do have some crazy hypos as well, don't you?
Oh, dude, mine are. Like, I'll talk you through stories in a bit, but I've ranted here. But what we're talking about, I'll go back to the original thing that we got into, which was me being diagnosed. So yeah,
yes,
sorry, has this gone off a million light years away from the original topic?
Me and Mike do it nearly every episode.
Great minds think alike, boys. This is why we like it.
You wouldn't believe the amount of rants and other stuff that's in the archives that we haven't released yet. But
release it. So basically, diagnosed, and I was told that my parents were devastated, and that was it. I was in hospital for like 3 or 4 days. You get given a dietitian, you get given your rates. You know, I had to draw up insulin, like the Novo pens hadn't come out, and so for me, after that, my journey started. You know, and I think the reason why I have a high blood sugar phobia, and I always explain to people because people are scared of having hypos. I'm not at all. I mean, I could be 1.6 and talk to you guys now normally because I have hypo unawareness, and it's really weird, but I feel safer. Yeah, I know. We'll go through my ridiculous hypos. One where my landlord caught me having one. I was half naked. He thought I was having a wank. Ridiculous.
I thought I had crazy stories. I'm excited.
I've got some good ones for you. But no, it's some greats. And it's the truth. This is the great thing. These aren't lies. These are truthful. This is how people look at you when you have a hypo. But back to what? God, I've lost my. Look, boys, look what you've done. I've lost my tangent here. What was I saying? I forgot what I was saying.
You need to write some notes.
No, I do. Let me just check my blood sugar. Actually, let me just see what it is. Let's check. Probably 6,000. Here we are. 9.3 with an arrow going down. Boys, we'll have a hypo soon. Wait, it's good. Yeah, so no, I've just been diagnosed. Yeah, I walked out of hospital, went back to boarding school. Everything was good. I took it all on the chin, but obviously, like, this is where I was. Dietitians, you know, there was no form of, it was just like needles drawing up your insulin, old school testing your blood. And so now you have like CGMs and stuff, which are amazing. And everyone gets really happy that they on a CGM. And I think a lot of people can take them for granted. You know, we'll go into that more so.
Yeah.
But when a new pen came out, like it was called Novo pen. And the first blood tester machine I had was called Exactech. I was like in heaven, like, oh God. And it was like so grateful, but you didn't get sort of like the blood tester machines on the NHS. You'd have to buy them. You get the strips for free. But obviously the machines themselves, the NHS wasn't as advanced at that time to give you the free. No, not the state-of-the-art blood tester machines. And this was like top of the gun. It was brilliant. And I look at it now going, Jesus, how times have advanced. for the better. And it's brilliant and beautiful to see, because
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of kids that get diagnosed that are scared, worried, and the internet doesn't help, because you see the negative derogatory points. Yet you've got to talk positively, even with the negative things that can happen with type 1. But if you talk about people's experiences, how you learn from them, there's always a way to move on. But because it isn't sunshine, rainbows and magical, you're going to have tough times.
Yeah.
But you'll have tough times even if you haven't got type 1.
Very true.
And I always say, befriend your enemy. And diabetes for me isn't the enemy. I look at it as a godsend, because I've done so many things with it. I've had things taken away from me having it, but it's my life. Life is lived once. It's a journey. So why not make the most of what you have? It's
exactly that.
Very well said, mate.
Thank you,
Well
mate. Jesus, the first serious thing I've done.
Yeah.
having a wank while having a hyper. I wasn't actually doing that. That's passed out.
That's all right. That was me last Thursday. Don't worry.
Why aren't you rising? Come on, baby. Come on, baby. And in the back going, blood sugar levels. No, it's not. It's just I'm just fucking drunk too much. It's fine. We'll just blame the diabetes. It's not a problem. Yeah. So then that happened, and then you get to terms with it, and yet again, not enough was done in terms of telling you about blindness, your amputations. It was just like, I'm diabetic. But that was it, because I suffer with, I've got a phobia of having high blood sugar. Yes. And the reason why is because when I was first diagnosed, I was diagnosed because I had high blood sugar. So
it's
for me,
exactly the same as me.
Cool. Because many people don't see it like that. And it's always like, and I always say to somebody that has phobias of having hypos, I'm like, that's your phobia. That's cool, man. My phobia is having high blood sugar.
Yeah.
So no matter what, you will have a phobia when you live with type 1, because that's just the way it is. There's no right, there's no wrong. If you're high all the time, you can do things about it, but that's your safe zone. Yes, complications can happen, but complications can also happen if you're low. So I always say there's no right and there's no wrong. It's just, it's not right because your body can go into a bad state, but that's how you see it and that's how you live with it.
It's how the individual deals with it and how you feel comfortable in yourself.
Oh, God, yeah. And that's why I don't believe in shaming anyone who's got type 1, because you have people that put stuff up online and, people are unconfident, people are confident, and I just get people slagging them off, going, oh, I can't believe you're putting that up there. And the thing is, if you don't like something on social media, don't comment. If you do comment, I mean, I've had a lot of bad stuff said about my show because it was called Keep Calm, I'm Only Diabetic. I was like, what? It's my life, my story. And yet this guy on the forum was going, yes, but how can you keep calm if you're diabetic? I was like, well, obviously you're not handling it well. And I understood it, but he didn't see the satire. And yet again, I talk about people who want to play the victim card. There's so many victims, not just with diabetes, with many health conditions. And yet I see so many brave people who are struggling, but they'll go, do you know what? I'm not a victim. It happened. So we're all different, but it's the victim card I hate, because if you are a victim, you're never going to get better. You're always going to be stuck mentally in a rough place. And that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. If you got a negative mindset, then you're going to stay negative, isn't you?
It's the law of attraction, isn't it?
It is. I'm a firm believer in it. And I like speaking to people. Well, if people are down and they hate it, I love to give people advice. Try and put things into a way that they'll understand. And I know there's some amazing diabetic nurses out there. There's also some incredibly boring people that talk about it. They bore you. Yes, if you don't eat correctly, you'll die. Well, thanks for that. Yeah, all right. Well, that's really making me really be happy about being type 1. Then you'll get someone that's really jazzy, like, listen, dude, you're going to have a bad time. If you have a hypo, get it. Have some sugar. If you're going to eat something, it's fine. Do this. There's a way. It's just, I always say this, if you live with it, you understand it. Those who don't live with it don't understand it. Even diabetic doctors, they understand it because they've learned, but you don't live with it. And you get some diabetic doctors who are diabetic, they understand it more so. And that's what I mean. It's very hard. And I'll be honest, do I take doctors' advice when it comes to diabetes? I'll be brutally honest, no. Because I've been diabetic for 36 years now. And to me, I've just gone, I know my body better than anybody. And listen, when a diabetic doctor or nurse wants to talk to me, I will listen. I'll take it on the chin. I'll understand. And I'm lucky because my diabetic nurses and doctors, they're absolutely amazing. I've changed over the years, and the guys I've got now are legendary. They're so good. Yeah. They understand. And I listen to them because I understand what they're saying. But you have to do what's right for you. And not always what someone says, they say, do it. I mean, listen, if someone said to me, when they say you've had really bad hypos, you're in hospital, you've got to go high for a while. I'm like, yeah. No chance. Because of my phobia. So going back to that diagnosis, because when I was diagnosed, you couldn't have sugar. You couldn't have sugar. You're not allowed to have sugar. It's the enemy. So I used to make sure I always did exercise. I remember being in my mum's flat. I'd be skipping for an hour just so I could have a hypo. And I wanted to have a hypo so I could have sugar.
Yeah.
Wow.
You look at how diabetes has changed with what you can eat. You can eat anything if you give yourself extra units. When I was diagnosed, and 10 years after that, there was no such thing as eating and then giving yourself a little top up. That wasn't around. It wasn't, I'll give myself 2 extra units if I have that. It was just 1 injection in the morning, 1 injection in the evening.
That's what mine was when I was diagnosed. I think I was on human mixtard, I think it was called.
No. I was on Insulatard. I think I was.
They all sound like tards to me.
Yeah. I'm on the tard. What? Yeah, it's human insulatard. Someone will get offended for us saying that. But deal with it.
I sound really stuck up now when I say, I was on a freestyle Libra sensor and a Nova pen when I first got diagnosed.
Well, you're what we call bastard because you were diagnosed when gadgets had basically come around. I was basically Florence Nightingale era, you bastard. No, but I'm so glad that, for example, dude, you've got this now and it's great. But the reason why I am the way I am is because it's all through experience and it's what I went through. So 2 injections. And then you go to say how diabetes has changed in terms of the whole, you can do this. More things are developing. So doctors are learning more. Like I say, back then you were given before I was diagnosed, you were given a death sentence. That's it. You will only live to your time, you're 30, you're 40. There's no way you'll see 60. You can't move, you can't do this, you can't do that. That's what I mean. There wasn't enough research that was done, and we've come on leaps and bounds.
Yeah.
But I sometimes think, is that a good thing or a bad thing? It's good. I'm going to go off tangent again here with CGMs showing off that they've got a sensor on their arm, and you think, show you got a sensor on your arm, it's cool, but don't hey, look at me, I'm walking down the street and I'm picking up my coffee and oh my God, what's that? Bling bling.
Yeah, so I know what you were trying to get. You was trying to people are advertising it as a fashion accessory, other than like a medical device that we use to actually help us survive.
So I've seen people that you put them on there, and they're like, "I've had a tough day today, but I'm so grateful." I'm like, "Brilliant! You show gratitude, and it's great." Or if a young kid's struggling and he's got his sticker on, I love it because it's like proud times. It's the one. It's the diabetic community. There's a lot of bullying that happens where, if you're different, you get shut out. And there's a lot of lick asses that lick a lot of asses and they don't like people doing well with themselves. So it's like a matter of I'm going to slag them off. They shouldn't do that. And it's so, I've spoken to a lot of youngsters that get bullied by others online because they're not doing this, they're not doing that. And with the whole sensor thing, it's sometimes done, people forget that how lucky we are in the UK with free insulin, man. I mean, it's unbelievable. Without that, we'd be dead. Needles. And people slag the NHS off, but if it wasn't for them, I'd be dead. And me, when I played football in Turkey, kids who were diabetic, back then, dead. Because there's the healthcare service isn't as good. People don't understand diabetes. You've got in America, people rationing insulin. It's like they don't get it for free. So I think I'm being a bit harsh. I shouldn't be as harsh. But when I see ungrateful people showing off that stuff without understanding that there's people around the world that could be looking, and I think just be careful with how you do things because you're so grateful and lucky, that you've got insulin for free and you've got all these devices. And you think of that poor kid in Syria or your poor kid in, Palestine, that poor kid, Israel, wherever, who they haven't got that. They haven't got the funding. They haven't got, and yet in England, we're here, and I've always been funny about what I put online when it comes to disrespecting others with stuff that is, going to help my life. So I think youngsters now, because it's social media, it's like, well, look at me. And I don't, listen, the showing off is fine, but I think there's a way in which you do it. And I think this is the problem with social media and with type 1 is that we face a lot of people that aren't passionate like we are about type 1. They're passionate about making a name for themselves just because they're using it as an excuse to become famous.
Yeah.
Don't do it for fame. Do it because you want to help people. And if fame comes with it, fucking brilliant. Why not? Well done.
Yeah.
But don't do it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Bro, I'm 100% with you.
Don't make that your first priority.
And they do. And this is what I look at some people's profiles and it's like 40,000 followers. Half of them have been bought. Well, but it's true. And then, and this, yet again, I'm not being personal, but me being old school, I just don't understand it. This whole thing of, hey, I woke up in the morning and I injected my ass. Hey, I ate a croissant. Who gives flying fuck? Basically, why don't you put something on your social media that goes, you know what? I had a croissant. It was fucking amazing. I gave myself some extra units of insulin and do you know what? I'm grateful to be here. Things like that. Just add a bit more vavavoom. It's just this boring. I've got to think about boring people with type 1. I don't know what it is. I like to be entertained.
What's your view on diabetic health coaches then?
I did a course.
Oh,
I had my way of helping people and I wanted to do it. I did it. Put my card up. Fucking no one wanted no one wanted any help. And then I saw some Beavis and Butthead people deciding to go and do it and they were doing it. And I was thinking, oh my God, if I was type 1 getting coached by you, I'd want to absolutely think, Jesus, I'd rather have high blood sugar. What's going on? It was like the health coaches, they're all wearing Lululemon, Gymshark. I did 5 squats this morning. Ooh, my blood sugar levels are perfect. Come on in, I'll talk to you. Hey, Joey, if you eat correctly, you could be like me. Vanity, ego, that's all it is. And also it's them like, oh, it's another one on my little bucket list. I've made little Joey feel good. Yeah, hey, all systems go. Party poppers.
Yeah.
It's not real. That's not real. Why don't you get a diabetic health coach that goes, you know what, I fucked up today. I had a problem. I had a really bad time. I've been stressed. I didn't do that. Because do you know what? I always say perfection doesn't exist. We all have bad times.
Yeah. Do you know what? Me and Mike always make sure we do that quite often on Instagram as well, don't we, Mike? We always put up the stories when we're having a shit time.
Yeah. But I love it.
Instead of advocating and promoting all the good times and going, oh, look how great I am. Look, I'm in range. I'm this, I'm that. But then you put up a story that says, look, I woke up this morning, had a massive bowl of shreddies, which I fucked up on, and I've sat at 17 for the morning and I feel like shit. That is the reality of it.
That's what I love. No, but that's the truth. That's what I mean. Put things up, it's always good. It's always nice when you see people who have hypos and they put things up what they're having. Because again, we're all different. I've absolutely have had enough of Haribos. Had enough of them. Horrible little bastard things. And the thing is though, you're there and you go, that little bastard teddy bear keeps smiling at me. And then there's that little turd of a child in red dungarees with the most horrendous Dumb and Dumber hairstyle. I don't think I want to have any more of your sweets. Fuck off. But you go into Poundland and you're skint, you've only got a quid, you're like, fuck me, I've got to do it. Got to have a Haribo, bastard. But we all have different things. And that's what I like. I like stuff where it's educational, you're learning, and people are helpful. You have a laugh, you take the piss, because no one wants to live with a health condition and be pissed off and depressed. Life is too fucking short. So you've got an illness. You see people, and it's awful. They've got terminal cancer. They're not moaning. They're doing shit. And I'd rather have diabetes than cancer.
Well, yeah, 100%.
It's how you look at it. And yet I just like people to be, come on, man. You're having a shit time. It's all right. Things will be okay. Talk about it. Yeah, I've had so many shit times, but I put on a brave face. Always. If I'm down, I'll always smile. And I'm lucky I've got my dad, bless him, the legend, will always look after me. I can speak. But I always feel better when I help people rather than me helping myself. It's weird.
Yeah, I'm exactly like that.
I was just about to say, that's exactly you, Mike.
Yeah, I will make people laugh even when I'm crying.
No, but it's true. I love helping people. I love I love it. And you do this like I do. I do this to help people. I don't do it for popularity. I mean, man, I've only got 1,500 followers on Instagram. The algorithm is fucked. And
yeah. It's exactly the same as us. It's exactly the same as us.
And it's awful because there's so much good content out there that should be heard, listened to, but it doesn't. And then you've got some, I'm not going to use the words, some person online with 6 million followers who decides to basically do random things that make no sense. And they've got all these followers and they're getting, it's a shame because there's so many good things out there that you miss. And I'm so glad I came across you guys because your podcast is the best thing that I've heard. It relates. It's normal. It's real. And then I've heard other podcasts people do in the diabetes world. I'm like, sorry, no, I'm not having it because it's all like, it's too polished. It's not real. You know, we live life in the real world, not this false fucking pretense of, oh, it's all magical. Because it's unfair also for those youngsters who live with type 1 who, you know, they think it's all magical. And then suddenly they face their first bad hypo. How the fuck do I react to that? You know, or I'm losing my eyesight. How do I react to that? How do they react to it? It's always good to talk about the harsh things. Because that youngster can go, I don't want that to happen to me, but I'm glad I've seen how it works. So it's learning. You know, you've got to learn. And the only way you can learn is by educating oneself. And one of my famous quotes that I use, it's my quote. Bastards have tried to steal my quotes before. Is don't waste your time entertaining minds with no room for growth, which is true. It's social media, man. It's great. It's a beautiful thing, but it's also horrendous. Like I say, when you see Joey the Turd getting 6,000 followers just for posting a picture of his pants, you're like, Jesus.
They were nice pants, though. Come on.
As long as they're from Turkey, Kelvin Clunes, the absolute authentic fakes. I'm all there.
Do you know what? I'm gonna switch it out now because you've mentioned youngsters and obviously people coming up with diabetes quite a lot. So it's obviously quite passionate to you. Say, for instance, because I know you've played professional football. So say if youngsters have got it in their dreams that they want to be professional footballers and they've got it in their head that they can't because they've got diabetes. Like, what was it like playing professional football with your condition?
Well, I lost my career because of it. And that's what my film is based on, hypo. So me doing the film was a way for me to cleanse my system and soul from, and it still affects me now to this day what happened to me. You know, I'm never going to go to my grave thinking I'm over it. I'll never be over it because it ruined something for me that was my life, my dream, my main goal in life. But in England, you know, I only ever had one bad hypo playing football. That's when I was at school. But like diabetes wasn't really talked about. It was just like, oh, he's diabetic. He just again, people didn't know because Google didn't exist. Just injects himself. If he feels a bit funny, just give him sugar. That was it. There wasn't enough awareness. So when I was on trial at clubs, I was on trial at Gillingham for a little while. I was Birmingham City under 18s, played a few games for them. It was fine, you know, because obviously Gary Mabbott, Spurs legend, had come out.
Yeah, he was my pen pal.
Yeah, Ledge. He's the first type 1 diabetic that I knew about, that type 1 sportsman. And I did get pissed off because I thought Steve Redgrave was a type 1. He's actually a type 2. Not that I've got anything against type 2. But I was like, you swine. No, Steve Redgrave's a type 1. No, I'm type 2, bastard. It's all right. You know, it's awful. The type 1, type 2 thing, very different. They should be called different things. But we'll go into that later.
Yeah.
It was fine in England. It was all right. But I never had bad hypos. So it was all right. I went to Turkey. And my dad told me when I was over there, he went, don't tell them you're diabetic because they won't understand. And me I was proud. I'm type 1. I'll tell everyone. You know, in Turkey, it's called şeker hastası. So I'd say, I'm diabetic. And they'd be like, oh. But they didn't have the understanding of it. So when I signed my pro contract, I was with the team and obviously adjusting to hot weather. It was a different way of life because in Turkey, you train twice a day. When I was in England, you go 9 o'clock, you'd finish at 1, that's it, your day's over. In this day and age now, it's like, it's hardcore. They focus more on the fitness, it's all there. In Turkey, I was training in the morning, go back to the club, you'd have lunch, and then I'd have an evening session. My body wasn't couldn't handle it because A, with the diabetes, B, the heat. So times were getting on. And I remember very well, I was in Turkey. What happens is the reserves, they play in the main stadium before the first team played. So you'd have a fair few thousand watching, and then you'd have a full stadium. So I went, it was before I was about to make my debut. I went to the stadium, turned up. I was excited. So I did my injection, my human insulatard, and I had the tard. And then I didn't eat anything. I just had eggs, no carbohydrates. So obviously blood sugar.
That was in the film, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, plummeted. Went to the club. I was there, went into the changing room, and felt like shit. I felt really weird. So I was really low. So my team were about to go out and play the first game. The coach was in there, and the coach was like, he was like a bully. I hated him, and he made me feel like shit. And I was in there having a hypo, and he turned around, and I was taking the piss out of him because he cut his face with a razor blade, shaving. And I put a massive plaster on my cheek, and I was going around going, ooh, taking the piss out of him. He turned around and saw me doing it. This was, when I go hypo, I go extremely piss-takey and go a bit, and I seemed like I was drunk. So all the players were laughing, and they thought it was just me being me, just entertaining. Team went out, they're playing. I went to the stadium stands to watch them. And this was a long time, so I had a little bit of a Turkish snack, not enough to cover me. I was deep into the hypo zone. Remember, no CGMs existed. I had obviously my awareness was very low because the heat, it was just a clusterfuck.
Yeah.
And then the first team came out, and I remember the first team coming out, I was gone. And the coaches and the chairman were behind me in this sold-out stadium, and I was just going, and they were looking at me. And one of the strikers, I told him, if I ever seem funny, I need sugar. And I said, please don't tell the coaches I'm Çeker hastası. I have diabetes. So he ran off, got me a can of Coke, came back, fed me the Coke. It was too late. I basically fucking just passed out. So the chairman had seen this, the coach had seen this. They thought I was drunk. Luckily, I'd come back round. And the first team reserve goalie gave me a lift back to my flat. And I was like, fuck, what the fuck happened? But I thought nothing of it. I thought I've had a hypo. Everyone understands what diabetes is, slow blood sugar. I'll be fine. Went to training. They're all whispering. You're saying things about me. I didn't get called into the coach's office. I was sacked. I was classed as being disabled. So those who have diabetes can't play football. And my career was over from that. I was devastated. It was.
I'm sorry to hear, man.
No, man, it's fine. And I remember my dad ringing the club and spoke to the coach, and the coach was saying, "Oh no, we love him, but it's nothing to do with me. It's the chairman." It's basically the blame game. It was all going that they all thought that I was basically a drunk, and one bloke who was ignorant, because again, diabetes still in Turkey isn't still treated very, very ignorantly. And ever since Google, the internet's come out, more people are becoming aware of it. And like I said, it hit me hard because I used to go to some really rundown places in Turkey. And I just thought, kids who are diabetic here, they die. They wouldn't have the chance to be checked. They just die. They just lose weight, have a thirst and die. And that's it. And you put it down to something else. That's why I'm so grateful for what I have in the UK, and seeing it in Turkey, seeing these peasant children and who just love football. They look up to you. And it made me feel so good. And I'd be like, I'm different. I've got diabetes. They're like, oh, what's that? And you raise awareness with these kids because they didn't know about it, and et cetera, et cetera. But that was back in 1996, 97. So.
Wow. I was 5 years old.
There you are, mate. There we are.
Wait, that's the year I got diagnosed.
Brilliant. So that was the thing, and I came back and I tried to resurrect my football again. But to be honest, before I went to Turkey, I'd broken my leg very badly. And I think the diabetic thing was the icing on the cake. Just didn't.
Yeah.
It just didn't. And it still lives with me to this day. And no one has ever said to me, apart from my dad, no one's ever said, God, man, that must have been hard for you. Because I put on this whole brave face of, yeah, I'm fine, man. They seem to think that happening to me was just normal. And when I came back, I told people the reason I came back was because I had to do army service.
Oh, wow.
And because I didn't tell anyone I was type 1. I was through my diabetes because people wouldn't understand. And I knew, so I went to drama school, university afterwards, and we played in this cup game. It was in like the semi-finals of this big uni cup against Loughborough, and we lost 8-0, got absolutely dicked. And we were a good team, but they were like on the level of, they had like semi-pro, and some of our players were semi-pro. We just got dicked. And obviously after this 8-0 game, I was in tears, and everyone was laughing at me, always crying. I was in tears because I knew my professional football career was over. I knew it was never going to happen. And I relate back to the time I was sacked from my contract. And I still told people there, why are you crying? Oh, because I might have to go back to Turkey to do army service. And that happening to me in Turkey still lives with me today. Yeah, I'm not over it, but I'm over it. It's just made me who I am. And I look at it as a positive of, thank you very much for that happening to me, because I've done a film that's the first of its kind. No one else is going to do something like that. So I'm grateful. It gave me the opportunity.
Did I see you won an award?
Yeah, it did. It won an award, and unfortunately, I've stolen the award. It was for Best Actor, and it was given to Patrick Robinson, who was in Casualty, and Strictly. He won it, but he didn't turn up, so I went, well, fuck you, I'm taking that award. So it's now at home on my mantelpiece amongst my wrestling figures, and I've covered the Best Actor up, so it's just an award. Who won it? I did, yeah, Best Actor. Thank you.
So if anybody actually listening to this has not seen the short film, it is called Hypo, and just search Hypo movie on YouTube and have a look.
And if you're a soppy bastard like me, you'll cry.
No, you know what? I cry. I still cry watching it.
Yeah, it hit me hard.
That's my dad at the end, who I kiss his head.
Ah.
So, and because it's my dad and he's gone through everything with me, it's just do you know what I mean? And the music's what fucking gets me. The music ties in. But also, it's for me doing it. It shed a lot of weight off my shoulders, because I never talked about it. No one ever said to me, "I'm really sorry that happened to you." You guys have now because you got to know me, but never had any friends. They're just like a normal thing. And I've always looked at people get jealous of people that do well in life. You know, I've never understood that. If someone is a pal or someone's doing well done to them. You know, it takes balls to try something, do it. It doesn't work out, still well done. There's a lot of hate in the world, and there's a lot of, a lot of jealousy, and just congratulate someone. And if you want to do it, do it. And my dad said this, and it's very true. If they're doing it, they're doing it. You're not. So you haven't got a leg to stand on. If you think you can get on that level, go and do it. Don't talk about it. Do it.
Yeah. What was it I say? I say there's no competition in this world apart from yourself.
But it's true, and that's the only person I'm in competition with. Like, I'd be lying if I said I see a lot of Type 1 Z-listers, you know, who are used by, you know, the big companies, you know, Novo Nordisk and all that. And they're people that, they're diabetic, and I get that, and fair play to them. But have they got a real underlying passion for talking about it and helping? No, they're not. They haven't. They're there as a face. As you know, and Diabetes UK have done a lot for me, because the guy who was the main celebrity dude, he's now working for Great Ormond Street. He's called John McKee, an absolute legend. He used to be the editor of Smash Hits magazine. So when I did my pop career, he was the editor of Smash Hits, and it was really weird because I'd just done the Brighton Marathon for Diabetes UK, and I said, "Listen, I'm about to take a one-man show on the road," and they put me in contact, and it was John McKee, and I was like, "Gee," and he was like, Jonsel. It was great.
Wow.
And he's the most loveliest man, because if it wasn't for him, I don't think Diabetes UK would have helped me as much, because yet again, charities, they do great things, but they're a business, and they'll use someone's famous face rather than someone that's like Joe down the road. It doesn't matter.
Do you know what, saying that about Diabetes UK? Do you remember when we first started this podcast, Mike? And I got in touch with them just to query about doing like a fundraiser, like a fun day sort of thing.
Okay.
And they got straight back in touch with me. I was on phone calls with all the charity department and the fundraising department. They was going to send us out packs. They was willing to send us out key speakers for the day. They could not do anything more. Possibly, like they were just brilliant from start. We didn't do anything because I just didn't get on to doing it, but the help was there if we needed it straight away. And we are literally, we was a nobody. You know what I mean? Like I was just any normal person ringing him up out of the blue and just saying, I want to do a fun day. And they was on it.
but you're trying your best, man. And that's what I mean. It's people that are doing, there's no other podcast like yours. You're great. You speak from the heart. I say you're normal. You're not normal. That's why I like you.
I've never heard that before.
No, we're far from normal.
You're not normal. What the fuck are you? Give me your clothes, your boots, and your injections now.
Right, guys. This interview went on for over 2 hours, so we've had to cut this up into 2 parts. Can you believe it? It's absolutely amazing. Jonsel is an absolutely amazing guest. And part 2, it does get a bit naughty, I'm not going to lie. So, guys, we're going to continue part 2 on Wednesday, so we hope you join us then. As for now, this is part 1. Over and out.